Okay, I am close to beating the battle pass. I just said beating the battle pass, meant completing. But we are, close to also finishing up the ley lines. And we're going to switch it up. We're going to go in and we're going to do this. Now, you might be wondering, hey, that's not the title that I clicked here for. Okay, let's get into it, okay. Immediately, they already tell you that you want books of order, or whatever they're called. I know they have order in the name. That's basically it. And then you want rainbow roses. You can easily find rainbow roses by just using the interactive map. Alright, so then after the rainbow roses and the order books, you're going to want to, farm the new boss. That's basically it. They just want you to farm the new boss, whatever the new thing is, right? Basically, sadly, the new boss, the new weekly boss, those are going to be the only ways to level her up. Also, you can tell, maybe I should have mentioned this, but we do need 52 insignias also. That is one thing.
What?
We do need those, which, gonna be honest, they're not hard to get. Like, we probably, if you're a, veteran player, you definitely have way more than you need, alright? We don't need to discuss this any further. Now, if you're not a veteran player, you could just easily farm them anyways. Because, look how many I'm getting here, just from farming Sumeru, or not Sumeru, Inazuma. Yeah, already farming this, and I'm already getting a whole bunch of them. So, it's great. Alright, so now, let's move on to sort of the stats, basically, which is the reason why I kind of wanted to do this. Basically, the next thing is, if you have a bond of life equal or greater than 30%, then you get extra damage bonus on your normals, and they're all converted to pyro attacks, which is good, but you do lose bond of life every 0.03 seconds, and a 7.5 drain, so it's not great, right? You would prefer if you just kept it. That would be great. And then you also decrease her cooldown for her E-skill. That can happen once every 0.03 seconds. That's, it's nice. We get, the sort of ley line that I didn't mean to, but I did.
Why are you the way that you are?
But yeah, we sort of get the lowdown on her damage bonus also. It's going to multiply from her attack. So her bond of life percent and her attack percent is going to, or not attack percent, but it's not going to be base attack, because it would say base attack if it was base attack, alright? So that is one thing. And then you can start using her E-skill, which is going to give you and put on, some blood debt directives, which are good, but they're really good once you get into some of her passive talents, but we're not there yet. So let's go over what the blood depth directives are and what they are normally without the passive talent, right? So they last for 30 seconds, and also her cooldown for her E-skill is 30 seconds. That is something they don't mention, but it is shown in the video. So assuming that stays the same, her cooldown for E-skill is 30 seconds, which is a lot, but don't forget that you're constantly lowering the duration, and if you use your burst, then you'll be able to just refresh it when you're ready for it, right? Every 5 seconds, it'll do some damage, some pyro damage. That's considered elemental skill, which is not at all what you would want. Right? I'm gonna be real with you guys. That's not at all what you would want. You don't want that to be considered elemental skill. If you would love for it to be normal. Where's the last guy? All right, I guess it's this guy. You would want it to really be normal attack damage bonus or something normal attacks, right? That's what she's built off of. The blood debt directive instances are probably not going to do enough damage unless they have massive scaling, which I doubt they will. When you use a charge attack, and we'll go over why I'm not talking about the burst part. When you use a charge attack, you're going to absorb it, and then you're going to get 65% bond of life. Now, that should work as if you were stacking enemies. So if you're fighting 2 enemies, then you'll get 130% bond of life, right? That is good. But you do still have to be fighting multiple enemies. So if we don't have the passive talent that I know we have, that would be bad. But we do have the passive talent that I know we have. So you should stick around and subscribe to make sure you know what this passive talent that I'm so desperately foreshadowing towards, it does. All right. So after that, it also states that, the maximum value of bond of life can only be 145% within 35 seconds of the usage of E-skill. which does reset if you use the E-skill. So once you hit that 145, you really want to use your E-skill in order to make sure you can actually still gain Bond of Life. Otherwise, you're basically losing all that damage, right? So now we come over to her burst, which is really just not important at all, honestly. Like, her burst, I would not even use ever. The issue with her burst is that it clears out your Bond of Life, and it absorbs it, right? So that's what you want to do, but then it heals you, which if you heal with Bond of Life, then it decreases your Bond of Life, and her burst heals you based on the amount of your Bond of Life, and also the amount of your attack, which you're probably going to have a lot of attacks. So I would not count on this, you know, this is just going to clear out your Bond of Life. You're not going to have any infusion afterwards. It's not going to be a good time. Really, you don't want to use her burst, right?
Oh no, this can't be.
Now we get into the good, like, the legitimate, like, yeah, this is where she starts looking really nice. So, basically, if you use your E-skill, alright, and you apply a Bond of Life or a blood debt directive, right? So, basically, once you use her E-skill and you switch out and you do your rotation, if you happen to kill the guy, you get 130% Bond of Life, which is really nice, as you know. The 145% cap, you know, that's pretty close to cap, right? And once again, I would like to point out, you know, the 145% cap, because as they even point out, like, yeah, it's still the 145% cap, right? So they still point it out. Now, what if you don't kill the enemy, right? 5 seconds if you don't kill the enemy. This is more for like bosses, right? So not really small enemies you're gonna have any effect on this, but for bosses, you should be able to just use your E-skill, switch out, do your rotation, and it will grant you 130% Bond of Life. That's literally what it's doing. It's just, you know, when absorbed. It does say when absorbed, right? You know, so you have to do the charge attack to absorb it. Now, for a couple of her passive talents, it's not really like super crazy, these passives. You know, the first passive is really what you want. Archipelago, you know, gains 1% elemental res and physical res for every 100 attack she has that exceeds, you know, 1000. So let me just look at a couple of my main DPSs and let's see, you know, what their attack is. Like Zhao, he's a really high, you know, attacker, so he would have 10%. That's with Staff of Homa on and a decent set that's giving him, you know, 18% attack also. So that's a lot, right? That's, you know, you're gonna need 3000 attack, which is hard to get, right? My Risley has 2300. This is also, you can use Bennett with her, right? So that is one thing. You can use Bennett with her. You'll get 20% to 10% ish is where I'm thinking you're probably gonna end up, because honestly, yeah, it takes a lot to get to 3000 attack on a character. You're probably not without Bennett or Kujasara or any attack buffing. Maybe some supports would get you up to, you know, 3000 attack, like maybe, you know, Tenacity of the Millith, right, on Zhongli. Zhongli will be a great partner for her, as she cannot heal, which is the next passive. While in combat, Archipelago gains 40% pyro damage bonus and can only be healed through her ult. Now, that's a big issue. You don't want to really dodge if you're going to be a vaporized character, right? So if you're vaporizing, you probably don't want to dodge. I don't know how like what her scaling is, right? We don't have the specifics of that, but you probably don't want to dodge with Archipelago all the time. So you're definitely going to want to have a shielder, and also just in general, she can't heal. You don't want her to heal. You want a shielder, right? You want a shielder. There's no going around it.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Now, this is good because Archipelago would be unusable if she had, like, a healer, like, issue. Like, if she legitimately could not be used with healers, it would be bad for her, right? Because you would have to resort to be using, like, I don't know, characters like, I mean, it wouldn't change up that much, right? If you were using, like, I don't know what exact team we would have, but, like, you know, Yelan, Kazuha, Zhongli, something like that, sure, right? You know, probably want C2 Yelan if that's the case. Archipelago, she seems promising, and after that, there's nothing really that we have, you know, to say. It's just a whole bunch of lore stuff. So, yeah, that's basically all of Archipelago's kit. We'll see what she looks like when she gets into the game, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.